Our Inheritance, A Safe Haven Orphanage Mystery by Patricia, Asedegbega. Episode 2. It had been a very uncomfortable hour before Tom Osunde finally arrived, and Uche had not dared leave the office unattended, even though all he had really wanted was to have been as far from there as possible, preferably his head buried underneath the hood of a car. One could not imagine just how much an hour could drag for, or how much a human being could talk, and talk without pausing for a breath. Joy! So not only do you and your son feel the right to come into my business and harass my workers, but you also had the audacity to call Mama and fill her head with lies. Tell me, is it because we are siblings? Do you think I can't cut you off? See, it is not that my patience has reached its limit. It has reached the land of no dimensions. Uche stood up as his boss strolled in and sat down at the desk. Both siblings glared at each other, but Joy remained silent. Oh, so now you've lost the power of speech even though I just heard you shouting at this poor boy from the hallway. Please continue. I want to hear all you have to say. Go on. Say it to me. To my face. The woman eyed him angrily but kept silent still. Dorcas! Tom Osunde bellowed, and the secretary came in immediately, file in hand, and the man stretched out his arm for it. See, it is only you in the whole world that thinks that Osarobo is a good person. On the way here, I called Dorcas to compile a list of your son's offenses. Can you see the number of pages she printed? I will read some out to you. Though you can take the file home with you, so you can study it well. Let me start with the list of his offenses. He has not been early to work one single day in 9 months. He always has an excuse for his tardiness. Most of them are extremely ridiculous. We've even stopped asking. Then, after he comes in late and he takes a minimum of an hour of breakfast, the rest of my staff have how many minutes for breakfast? Osarobo? 20 minutes, sir, the young man replied, his head bent down. Tell us all, why are you entitled to 60 minutes? 60. I'm counting in minutes so you can see that your break is 3 times that of any of your colleagues, Uche, the manager, included. His uncle asked, and wisely, no reply was given. Let's go to the next bone of contention. He says he's a mechanic, and he can't even change the oil of a car properly. The day I asked him to do so, I watched him tinker about painfully for 20 minutes. Joy, where did your son get his certificate from? Ah, why are you asking that now? I told you when you hired him that he needed more practice hours. Is that not why you accepted to start him off as a trainee before graduating him to a full mechanic? This attack is honestly most unfair. You are his family. Surely he should have a bit more wiggle room than the rest. Does blood mean nothing to you? Joy asked, evidently trying to contain her anger. I was waiting for you to say that. There is a difference between practice hours and teaching someone from scratch. Then after 2 months, you came back to my office, again after speaking to Mama, and got me to pay him a full salary, even though this son of yours does not know how to do anything. How do you think my workers feel when they have to finish their work and then his? And as you can appreciate since the last incident, I am not using insulting words to describe him. I am going around so as not to cause your boy any trauma. But let me go on. Aside from his taking liberties that are a sign of disrespect to his colleagues, he is also rude to customers. Dorcas was kind enough to type out a number of incidents for you. You can read them at your leisure. But his crimes escalate. He knows no limits. He does not return money given to him when he has been sent on errands. He has tampered with client invoices when he has had the chance in order to pocket some money. I am tired. Here, take it home and read it all. This is what your jewel of inestimable value does. See, this is the future of my children he's playing with. I don't want him here. The woman's face was no longer angry as she looked through the papers. Brother, you know he has had a difficult upbringing. He needs a responsible male figure in his life. You need to mentor him. You can't fire him because of a few and insignificant occurrences. Uche managed to keep his mouth closed at the shock he experienced at her words, but his boss's mouth fell wide open as he stared at his sister for a moment, unable to speak. Joy! Are you listening to yourself? This is how you have run from the truth all your life. When you were dating Uche and you found out that instead of being the manager of his company like he had told you, he worked in security, and I told you to run for the hills, what was your reply? You said you had to marry him because all your friends were getting married and that you were not going to sit in your father's house and become an old spinster. I don't know why being a spinster is a bad thing that one must run away from. 24 years down the line, I am paying for everything in your home because your husband spends his salary before it gets home. And then you saddle me with Osarobo. Joy, answer me. Would you hire your son after reading what you have today? Would you? Again, there was a silence from the woman. Brother, he is your heir. You have 3 girls. Which of them is going to inherit your 3 mechanic workshops? Granted, he is a little rough around the edges, but he just needs you to be patient with him. Please give him another chance. Osarobo my heir? Never! Do you hear me? Never! If my girls or their husbands are not interested in the business, I will sell them. But hear me well, Joy. Osarobo is never, ever to step foot in any of my shops again, much less inherit them. If that is the future that awaits them, I will sell them off now. This is how you solve things. He has not even apologized for stealing my 10,000 naira or for this long list. He's just standing there, looking at the door whilst you are doing all the talking. And you are going about it the wrong way too, because so far I have not experienced the desire to take him back. But uncle, I did not steal the money. I really did not. This time I'm innocent. You are not giving me a chance. Osarobo decided it was time to intervene. See why it is better that you don't speak? This time you say, Osarobo, I know you. Go home and lie to your mother and tell her that the world is against you. Now that we are all here, in front of witnesses, tell us, are the offenses that those many sheets of paper record false? His uncle inquired without taking his eyes off him. All eyes were on the 23-year-old man who looked everywhere but at his uncle. Saying that conversations were not going to resume without an answer, a very low no was heard. One he was asked to repeat 3 times. It was at that point that Joy started the waterworks, and boy, the woman could wail. Another gift she had, and that she shared very generously with the world. No, 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 no! Joy, this is your pattern. You call me and shout. You come to my place of work and shout some more. You go to mama with your version of the story, and when you don't get your way, you cry. Both of you, you know how when you put a bucket under a leak in your roof during the rainy season and drop by drop it fills up, and then one day it overflows, but you can't say exactly which drop has made it spill over? Well, the same here. I don't care if he's not guilty this time. Joy and Osarobo, please leave the premises. And if you want me to continue paying your children's school fees, don't ever come to my home or my business to create a scene again. Please don't come to my house either. Your visit last night was very disturbing. I did not take the money, nor did I get Osarobo fired. My family does not deserve the embarrassment they were put through. Uche added. What? You went to his house? To do what exactly? Tom Osunde at this point was also shouting. I had to do something. For all I know, this boy thinks he has found a gold mine. How long has he worked for you? 3 years? You have made him the manager of this place. These people see an opportunity and grab it. He has wormed himself into the position and is refusing to let go. Joy replied. Uche felt the anger well up in him. He looked at his boss, who audibly breathed in and out. By these people, you mean orphans? See, people have to be able to feel shame and remorse for their actions. That is something I'm yet to feel emanate from either of you. You just feel like you have rights. 0 responsibilities, but many rights. Joy, I am your brother, not your father or your husband, and even at that, I give you a lot of money every month. Uche is not at fault about the circumstances surrounding his birth that, frankly speaking, are none of your concern. This young man has worked hard every single day of those 3 years. He has never stolen a kobo from me, and my customers often ask that he be the one to repair their cars. He goes back to a home which most days has no electricity and has to rely on neighbors for water, as the pump for the well requires electricity. Joy, I have had enough. Kindly leave this very moment. I don't want to see you in a very long time. As for you, Osarobo, I don't want to see you in... Luckily, a good number of cars had come in and Uche had been able to get his hands dirty and put the very unsettling visit to the back of his mind. He closed the metal gate after him and was about to ride off on his bike when he noticed a figure approach him. It was dark and he took a step back, unsure of their intentions. Uche, it's me, Alsarobo. Wait, don't ride off. I come in peace. Uche had made an attempt of getting on his bike as soon as the man had identified himself. He really could not handle any more drama that evening. Look, I know that I have not made things easy for you. Not accepting you as my boss and, well, doing some of the things on that list. His voice trailed off and it did not escape Uche's notice that he had only accepted some of his misdeeds. He waited for him to get to the point. Look, you need to help me. I really did not do this. I know my uncle says that he doesn't care, but surely you must. Okay, I get that not having me around is easier for you, but if it wasn't me, then someone else is stealing from work, someone who knows that because of my track record, I will be blamed. Is it fair that I get fired for it? Think about it. Would my uncle have fired me if this had not happened? So I have to believe you just because you deny it this time? When every day, and I mean every single day, someone has to get you from the bar or complains about you, or Dorcas does not get her change back after you come back from errands? Uche asked him. But the change is transport fare. Everyone knows that when you send someone on an errand, they are entitled to transportation money or a snack. Uche almost laughed at the way the man still had an excuse for every single thing. Osarobo, do you need transport fare to go to the bookshop down the street for stationery? He asked. No, that time it was to buy Linda a drink and a piece of cake. Come on, Uche, you are a young man, a fine one like me. You know you need to impress a girl, so she'll agree to go on a date with you. It's the unwritten rule. Linda from the convenience store? You know she has a boyfriend, right? Uche asked. He had seen him visit her at the shop on numerous occasions. That's temporary, was the smug reply he received. Fine, this could last all night, and I do need to get home. Let's assume that you are innocent, forgetting your past misdemeanors for a moment. You were seen circulating around Dorcas's desk, apparently for no reason. So you did have the opportunity. It has been brought to my attention that you had made small talk that made no sense the day the money went missing. Is there an explanation to that? Osarobo seemed to start to say something and then stopped. Look, this can't harm my case anymore. I have been fired after all. So you know how we are entitled to a free cold drink a day? Well, I had mine, but it had been really hot that day. I had to wash the car of that very annoying man, and so I just went into the office a few times to see if I could get another one from the fridge. Dorcas does not forget anything. She makes us sign when we take out our drinks, and so I had to act quickly when she left the room. But Daniel also came into the office when I was leaving. Why is he not a suspect? Bode keeps asking everyone for a loan when he gets his salary. He has to pay off all of them. And what about Albert? Just the other day, he was telling me that he needed to send some money to his son in university, but that he was quite broke. Look, I saw where you live and listened to what Uncle said today. My mother is the one taking care of every single thing at home, so we need to fend for the family. I can't afford to lose this job. You need to help me. We really are not very different, you know. We both have had very difficult starts in life. Osarobo, we are really very different. I believe your mother has a stall in the market, one in which she spends a lot of hours working in. You have 2 other brothers. We are 15 in my house. Nobody has to tell me to take things seriously. I am well aware of my circumstances. You can't spend life being bitter or believing the world owes you anything because it doesn't. We both know that you can't do much as a mechanic, but you aren't doing anything to change that, and your uncle is serious. He's not going to leave his business to you. If this is not for you, if you are not good at this, this is the time to look for another trade. Maybe if you are honest with him, he'll pay for you to study something else, but you need to step up. Your younger ones look up to you. Take this time to search within yourself about what you really want to do. There was a short silence in which Uche had no idea if his words had actually made a difference, if they were being mulled over, or if they had gone in through one ear, and with the speed of light, right out the other one. I've heard what you said, but you have to help me. You need to prove that I am innocent. Even if I speak to my uncle, he will need some convincing in order to help me out. You have to investigate and find out who took the money. And don't just do it for me. If someone found it so easy to get away with the money, that person will only get more creative and continue stealing. Oh, and by the way, you seem to trust Dorcas very much. You do know that she's the person that has the most opportunities, right? Lately, she has been making and getting a lot of secret calls. She goes out into the yard to speak to someone. So let me tell you, all the time she says that she's at her desk. She really is not, and every single one of us knows where she keeps the key to the cash box. Are you going to help me clear my name? Osarbo asked as Uche's heart sunk. With all he had been told, could he walk away from everything? Was it really once a thief, always a thief? I'll see what I can do. I'll contact you if I discover anything new. Best you don't show up here again. With those words, he jumped on his bike and rode off. So, Uche, tell us who your suspects are. We can help you. He had not heard Nicholas' small but mighty approach. Uche had been sitting in the dark with his eyes closed, trying to decide what to do. There was no electricity in the house today, and he could hear his brothers playing games outside. He smiled at the boys. Nicholas was ever so serious. He had even brought with him a pen, paper, and a kerosene lantern. He did not have the heart to send them scooting away. Let's see. I guess you can take me off your list, he said jokingly, and frowned as it seemed that both boys were actually considering if he was to be taken off the list or not. Are you guys serious? Why would you even consider me? He asked, catching them exchange a look. Well, we would not be doing a good job if we took you off simply because you are a family member. Sometimes it is the person you least suspect, and you have to admit that it could very well have been you. Who needs money? We do. Who had ample opportunity? You did. You know, it wouldn't be inconceivable if soon all eyes were on you. So, tell us who else is suspect so we can clear your name. Henry replied with a very interested look on his face. I'll humor you both. There's Dorcas. She's the receptionist. I guess if we are considering the very remote fact that Osarbo is innocent, she would be next on your list. She handles all the money coming in. So you just collect what she gives you at the end of the day? Or do you check every operation? Nicholas asked. Well, no. That was the system that was in place when I took over managing the shop. She gives me the money at the end of the day, and I put it in the safe. Everything is collected once a week by my boss. During the period in which there was no manager, he collected the earnings daily. Write down on another paper the things I need to investigate, like who else has the code for the safe? Uche instructed. This brainstorming session was actually somewhat useful. There are 3 mechanics, Albert, Daniel, and Body. The 3 were there before I arrived. Albert has worked for my boss for over 15 years. He was in another workshop before he was transferred. Daniel was hired 3 years ago when the shop was opened, and Bode about a year and a half ago. Apparently, there had been only one similar incident before Osarbo and I arrived, but one can't be sure if a mistake was made or if it was theft. Uche said. So if it was theft, it was not Osarbo. I think you need to investigate that incident. Sometimes people repeat past crimes, especially if they successfully got away with them. Henry replied sagely. Thank you both. That is the last thing I need, to go snooping around not just for what has recently happened, but now something that happened before I arrived. Uche was beginning to get a headache. Why didn't they just come to him with maths or physics problems like the rest of their siblings? Both boys were smiling, which put him on alert. An idea was about to be given, and he was sure that he would not like it. That is where we come in. We are willing to help you solve this problem, knowing you are not a gifted conversationalist, and that it will be a painful process for you. We would like to offer our services on Saturday. Now that Osarabo is no longer working there, you will need 4 enthusiastic hands to help clean the place and wash the cars. Now, your mouth looks like it is about to say no, but think about this. In a few years, Mama will have the talk with us, and I need help knowing which trade to go for. This way, I can start crossing things off my limited list. Small but mighty answered, cheeky grin in place. I'll speak to my boss. But you know that it will be an unpaid job, and also, I can't receive any negative reports regarding your snooping around or asking impertinent questions. Uche found himself saying, knowing them, the last beat was something that needed to be made clear over and over again. Discretion is our middle name. You can trust us. Small but mighty replied. Discretion can be anyone's middle name, except yours. Uche said to the 12-year-old, who was known for making a mountain out of the smallest grain of sand. All he needed was the tiniest opening. The next morning, whilst making his usual rounds, he stopped by Buddy, who was checking the pressure of the tires of a car. Buddy, with all that happened, I did not get a chance to speak to the boss about the advance, but I will as soon as I am able to. Oh, don't worry, Uche. It's been sorted. The lanky youth replied as he lazily chewed on a toothpick. Really? That was fortunate that someone came through for you, with everything that happened, Uche said. Yes, we all heard the boss shouting from the yard. Trust me, I went near the open window. There was no way I was missing that free entertainment. We all did, to be honest. Ha, the boss meant business. He did not listen to anything. To be honest, I am not sorry he's gone. We were all tired of carrying his workload. Everyone knew at the start of the day that we had the jobs assigned to us plus his own. Do you know that last week I had to wash customer's car on 2 occasions because he did not do it? Once, he said that it was because he was not feeling well. But how could he be feeling well when he was just coming from the bar? The other time, he said that he had not heard that he was supposed to do that. Ah, I lost it. I asked him who was in charge of washing the cars. Can you imagine? A mechanic with a certificate who is only good for sweeping the yard and car washing. I just gave it to him straight. Bode recounted what had occurred, still evidently angry with Osarabo's attitude. What did he say? I can't imagine that he took it well. Not the Osarabo I know. Uche asked. Of course he didn't. You know how he always got defensive anytime he was confronted, so he started shouting back at me, saying that he was going to report me to his uncle and that I'd get fired. He said that I had no idea who I was challenging. Albert had to intervene. I almost gave him a small knock on that thick head of his. Luckily, I didn't. I know that I would have been in trouble with you and the boss. I told him that one day he would be shown out the door by the same uncle he was always boasting of. You have no idea how much Daniel and I laughed as we listened to it all. Can you imagine? He told Abies, the bartender, that he was the head mechanic here. The day she told me, I laughed and laughed. It was then, seeing how vexed the boss was, that I lamented the fact that you would not be able to ask him for an advance on my salary. Afterwards, Albert came to me and gave me 10,000 naira out of the blue. You have no idea how relieved I was. My brother is getting married, and every week he comes to me with a new expense. I had to ask him why he did not just go to the church and get married. That is the most important part after all. But no, he has decided to feed the whole village of the bride, and he just got a new job, so his salary can't be stretched more at the moment. Bode shook his head in a disapproving manner. Uche then proceeded to inspect the car, and they went over the work that had been done. So, Albert had money and enough to spare, he thought as he walked away. He had understood that he had needed some for his son. What a coincidence that on the same day 10,000 naira disappeared, he lent that same amount to Bode. Also, it was evident people were tired of their boss's nephew. What if someone had decided to do something about it? To stay up to date with Patricia Asedegbega's work, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications.